All right, everyone, welcome into a new episode 14, I believe it is now, of the Glue Guys. We're just chugging along now. We have a guest with us. It's Joe from episode 1, all the way back to episode 1. He, helped set up our social media, helped set up this ESPN contest that we're running. We'll tell you guys a little bit more about later. And yeah, we're happy to have you on. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thrilled to be on. The last time I was on was after a loss to Dayton, so way happier to be on after a positive win and a great week for KU and Kansas City.
Now, what's that flag behind you? What does that say?
That is the Big 12 champion flag.
You're quick.
Yeah, already got it. Just got delivered on Saturday, just in time when they beat Tech too. So great timing there.
Are you somebody who orders it regardless? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm so optimistic they're gonna win. I'm just gonna go ahead and order it. I know it's good. I know they got this.
I'm a nervous fan. I got to be honest, because I care so much. That's the regular season Big 12 tournament championship flag. It wasn't the tournament.
Okay.
So that was decided last week, and as soon as they beat Texas, I ordered it.
Gotcha. Well, I want to go over and start this episode off. Obviously we're into the thick of things now with March Madness, the best time of the year for Kansas college basketball fans, especially if you're a fan of a team that gets a number 1 seed like Kansas did. And we got our draw the other day, and I want to first get Joe, your initial thoughts. What do you think? As a Kansas fan, sometimes people are up in arms about it, but it seems like people are pretty happy with the draw that we got this year. What are your thoughts?
I agree. And as many fans, I'd be the first one to say, oh, we got screwed here. Why is that team there? But no, like seeing that draw unfold, I mean, there's tough teams along the way, but there's going to be tough teams. I think it's pretty good. I know the 8-9 matchup, Jesse Newell said San Diego State could be tough for KU, might want to avoid because they're athletic, old, and play great defense. But after seeing us play against Tech, and I mean, the gauntlet is a Big 12 defensively this year, I think we'll be prepared for that. I'd much rather have seen San Diego State than maybe a UNC there, just because, UNC, the program.
Yeah, we would have smashed UNC anyways. Coach Self, they're not losing that.
No, totally. And you as a player, are you wanting that like UNC game? Yeah.
For me personally, I remember my senior year we had it was I think
Michigan State.
Yeah, and that's fun. Like I would rather personally. It's a second round game. The first round is usually just a boring blowout. You want some excitement, especially knowing that they're a 8-9 seed for a reason. That means they're not the normal great powerhouse, but they still hold that name, and it's just fun to go out there and beat a team like a UNC or Michigan State or something if they get that 8-9. So me personally as a player, yes, it's more fun, but I think you got to give these two teams some respect, and obviously can't overlook either one of them. 8-9 seeds are not bad. Those are good teams that can catch you if you're having an off night. So I agree with you on the fact that this is. I looked at it after it came out, and I was like, that's overall a pretty good draw, all the way down to who they're 2 and 3, and some of the teams that they could see later on in this bracket. So I like it. Dad, what do you think about Kansas and their draw?
First off, I got to tell you, this is the best time of the year. I swear. I mean, the NCAA tournament, there's not quite anything like it. As a matter of fact, I don't know if this is a scientific fact or not, but I think there's probably more vasectomies that happen during this time than any other time of the year, so that guys can sit around and watch a bunch of games, against teams that they probably never even heard of sometimes before. But I will say that when the brackets came out, I thought Kansas spot, especially once again in the Midwest, which it seems like they always seem to get the Midwest. And I thought it was actually not bad. You know, like you guys alluded to, you have to play great teams in order to make it through. But, you know, I do have to say that the San Diego State is not a total gimme. And I kind of want to go back to, I know there's a lot of different factors, different teams and all of that stuff, but I also go back to like the Stanford game from 13 or something
14,
like that.
I believe that was
14. It's like, you know, it's a team that it's an older teams that played together. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that tends to worry you. And also we've seen that KU has run into some issues when they have some teams that are pretty athletic. So, you know, those are just never gimmies. And the only reason why it worries me more than a UNC is the psyche of the kids that are out there. I mean, Landon, you just said it. I would much rather play against UNC, right? Well, they're going to walk out and go, San Diego State. Again, I don't think this is going to be the case, and I still have KU winning all these games, but I would rather it had been a Michigan State or a UNC or something like that, because, you know, at that number, because I just know the kids would be ready. And you just said Self would be ready. Everybody would be ready. Now you've got San Diego State and they're like, you know, who? Like, you know, who are they? They probably never even seen a San Diego State game. Yeah. And again, we don't even know if it's going to be them. You know, they may not get past Creighton. Who knows? But I'm just saying that's sometimes those worry you, because you've said yourself, Landon, once you start getting into, getting to the Sweet 16 feels like a minimum, or your season was a mess, was a disaster. Is that fair to say?
It feels like Final Four, but that's on the extreme end. But yeah, as a player, you go to Kansas, it's to make Final Fours. You know, anything outside, we weren't happy that we made it to the Elite Eight twice. You know, I'm not celebrating that. So I think it's Final Fours, and anything before, obviously there's kind of that buffer. Like, you don't want to be out in the first round. You can't be out first weekend if you're in Kansas. There's no way. That second weekend, you should be making it through. You expect to, but it is not as bad as bowing out, you know, in the first weekend. You shouldn't do that. You know, Coach Self always said the tournament starts the second weekend. That first weekend, you know, anything can happen, you know, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But that second weekend's when, you know, the real teams, you know, come out, they start winning games, and you start narrowing down that field to, you know, the top teams. And so I think they're going to have a lot to prepare for. The nice thing about getting the 1 seed is they can prepare for this, you know, whoever they play, but really, you know, it's a lot of focus on San Diego State and Creighton.
Well, San Diego State did end I think, Allen Fieldhouse home court winning streak a while ago. I forgot which exact year it was, but it was a big upset.
Oh, yeah.
In like 2014, I forget the exact year. So hopefully,
too bad I don't think any of these guys are going to.
No, but maybe Coach Self will have that, you know, arrow in the quiver there, and they could remember that. And Richard, that Stanford loss, I don't like that you brought that up. That was on my birthday all those years ago. So you're really opening up the room there.
I will say that, you know, the thing that's about San Diego State is a lot of times the types of players they get, it is basically transfer you often. And you get these guys who are from the LA area who go off to these great schools, and then all of a sudden something doesn't work out. And especially now with the transfer portal, it makes it so much easier. But then they come back, and I don't know if I've been to a game at San Diego State. That arena is an NBA level arena. It's a big time facility.
We played there at one time.
Yeah, that's right. We went there, and it's like, and it's really nice. And they've got fans that are pretty loyal to it. The place is packed, and so they're gonna, if it is them. And again, you never know, right?
Yeah, you never do know.
They got to play Creighton too.
Yeah, you can't count them out, and the coaches are gonna have them prepared for both. I know that when the first thing we would do as soon as Selection Sunday was over, and I have no idea to this day how they did this so quick. But I remember we would finish Selection Sunday, and we would watch it in the movie room. And then a couple of us would go do the media requirements and all that stuff. And as we're walking out of media, the whole team meets in the film room, and they already have a full packet on each team that we could potentially play that weekend. So in this case, there's going to be 4 full breakdowns of these teams, scouting reports, everything. And then, it's just going to be important that those guys, spend these next couple days understanding San Diego State, Creighton, both of those teams, and then not overlooking, obviously this first one they're going to have to watch and stuff, but it's just, there's such a big talent, size, everything gap in that 116 game that it really should not be close, as long as you just go out there and it's your game to lose for sure. But really, understanding that San Diego State Creighton, because that's the most important thing, is getting through this weekend. And it's a 2-game tournament that you got to focus on. 4 teams, just get out of that, and then you'll focus on another tournament of 4 teams, and then get out of that to get to the Final Four.
And Kansas hasn't been to the Sweet 16 since 2018, and I mean 2020 pandemic year played a factor in that. But I know the fan base, like, we're spoiled. We're used to at least second weekend here, so they've been cut short the last few marches. So I know the fan base is ready for an extended stay in the tournament this year.
Well, luckily, I think this is the right team for it, and I think that where they have this, where they are at in the bracket, I think is also.
I agree. And Coach Self, it seemed like all the things that we were talking about early in the year, positioning, just be a few feet over here, be here, do this. Seems like they're starting to get all of that. I mean, I was watching the Big 12 tournament, and defensively, everybody was, for the most part, in the right spots. Offensively, people are in the right spots. Like, it just looks like Coach Self has spent that, obviously, him, he prepares all year for this time. He's spent those learning experiences that, Kansas fans just look at it as, oh, that was a bad game. Oh, this or that. They need to work on this. And he's looking at it like, oh, this is all stuff we can learn for the most important time of the year, which is, coming up now. And it looks like he has them ready. So I'm excited. I have a question for you guys. What would you switch with any of the other number ones for the bracket if you were Kansas? Is there any other one that you would want to be in other than the Midwest?
I mean, I like Gonzaga's draw a little bit better, besides that potential second round matchup with Memphis. Just from a pure talent standpoint that they have, that could be a scary second round matchup. But besides that, I would say maybe Gonzaga, and Gonzaga's earned that draw, being the overall number 1 seed, might be a little bit more favorable with your 4. Arkansas, a talented team, but they've struggled throughout the year on and off. Duke, they're kind of on a downturn right now. Whereas KU, they have a lot of pundits and experts are liking that Iowa pick. They're saying Iowa's a
bad matchup. Of people going with Iowa, and I haven't seen a ton of Iowa, but I think it's they're a good scoring team. They have a good offense.
They're like 3rd, I think, in points per game. Like, they just put up 112 on Northwestern, I think, or something around there. So, and they're also pretty hot. Ran through the Big Ten tourney. But you have games in Chicago, which they have a big footprint there, as does KU. But
yeah, I mean, with a game like that Iowa game, the Big 12 is so physical and so good at defense and stuff, and it seems like Kansas learned so much from it that if the refs go out there and let it play, that could be a game that Iowa does not like at all. And who knows, how it turns out and whatnot. But and then that one is, where's that second weekend going to be at? That's Chicago, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. Probably a mix of fans between the two.
Like the consensus on Twitter is like Iowa fans travel, and there's a big footprint there. But I know there's a very large KU alumni base.
Yeah, there's a ton of people in Chicago whenever we would go there. So, I see the Gonzaga West one being a good one too. I really like Midwest. So, Dad, what do you think? Would you switch with anybody?
Yeah, Joe nailed it. I mean, the only one that I would even remotely consider would be going to the West. Also, it's out here too, which is kind of nice. It's right here in Portland. Some of those early ones, but I start looking at whenever you start talking about brackets as a number one. I think your first thing is you have to look at the number two, right? Because conceivably, if everything's chalk, then you're going to potentially be playing against the two. And so, you start looking at the twos around, and the only, obviously there's Duke, Kentucky, Auburn, and Villanova. So
I wouldn't want Kentucky again after the last.
Well, when you look at so that's the thing is when you look at those, which one, and honestly, I know Duke hasn't been great. But I don't know why I had this sneaky suspicion that they are going to, because if you go back and put everything on the UNC last home game and all that, you can't. That was a total anomaly because everything surrounding it was just it was too distracting for 20-year-olds to deal with. So I think what you're going to find is that now you've got a team that's pretty focused on trying their best to send Coach K out on a positive note. So that's the only reason why that gives me a little bit of pause, because I think I'm a little bit higher. I still think Gonzaga beats them into the Final Four. I have that here, but I almost would rather play Auburn over Duke for that reason alone. So I guess I'm with you in the sense that overall, some of the other teams along the way, I would rather be in that West. But if KU does what they're supposed to, and they were in the same spot as Gonzaga, running up against potentially an Auburn versus a Duke, I don't know. I think I'd take the Auburn.
And the importance of the last week KU had, because they were originally projected to be the fourth one in the East. And then Baylor lost, KU took care of business. The East is a gauntlet. So what do they got? They've got Baylor, Kentucky, Purdue, UCLA is their top four seeds. That's an absolute gauntlet. So yeah. KU taking care of business and earning themselves a pretty favorable bracket, all things considered, I thought was huge.
I wonder, how this is just something I'm seeing a little bit. And Dad, you're out there in the, in Pac-12 world and stuff. Are people kind of, I wouldn't say sleeping on, but like, you think the Pac-12 can make some noise? Because from what I saw, I feel like, they got some teams that can make some runs in the tournament.
Yeah, so this year was really unusual for the Pac-12 because it was extremely top heavy. Once you got past those top, they only got 3 teams into the tournament. Yeah. And so it was just a down year. Because usually Utah is typically a little bit more difficult of a game, and obviously the Ducks have won it, multiple years recently, and were nowhere to be found. They were just getting blown out the last few games of the year. And so then you have a Washington State that's typically a doormat who was actually ended up like 4th or 5th in the conference. So it was a totally weird year. Arizona State was dreadful. Cal was dreadful. Stanford was dreadful. It was a down year overall. So I could see where teams, outside would go, hey, who did they play really throughout the year? So I think they might be sleeping on some of these teams, especially Arizona. Arizona is really, really good. They have all the components that you need to be a Final Four team and actually win this whole thing. The only reason why we haven't really gotten that far into our picks for the Final Four and all that, the only reason why I have a feeling that they're going to be a little bit down is simply because of their bracket, and because I'm really high on Tennessee, and also because this is Tommy Lloyd's first year as a head coach, and it's the NCAA tournament is a different animal. all in itself. Just, and you know this as well as I do. I mean, it's like from media to the fact that you guys at one point, there was one game you were tipping at like 9:57 or something at night. I mean, like everything is just different. And I think that I have a feeling that there's a chance he might get out coached when it gets to those games right there toward the end.
So this is his first time as a head coach anywhere?
Yes, he was a long, like 20-year or something like that, assistant for Gonzaga. And he just
that's a good point. That's because they do have a really good team that I think can make some noise. I like them. I like UCLA, but especially Arizona. But I mean, that's a good point. If you have a first-time head coach, I mean, being a long-time assistant, you get the understanding for things. I mean, you're even doing the scouts and stuff. So, I mean, you can get a feel for it, but it is different when you take over that role as a head coach. You know, you're stepping into situations where you're the one who has to determine what the schedule is like for the team. You're the one that has to determine, you know, what shoot-arounds are looking like, it's top to bottom, not just, hey, this is who scout I have. Let me just focus on this team and bring it to the scout.
So we had a saying in coaching that the 6 inches that you slide down is the hardest 6 inches that there are in college, because that you could be a top assistant for years and you slide down 6 inches to be a head coach. It's your baby, it's your ship, and everything falls on your shoulders. So like you said, I mean, everything is your responsibility, right? The buck stops with you. Now, he's been in, luckily, a ton of games and circumstances and situations. And so he's been able to learn from one of the best, Mark Few, for years. As a matter of fact, I think he was the one who was on staff with, I believe he was on staff even when there was Munson even before, I believe. But still, he's been around great wins and Final Fours and all of that stuff. But all I'm saying is that will he be ready when it comes time for a potential Elite Eight matchup against Tennessee? And I don't think that they're going to win that game.
So I got a question for you guys. What is the farthest a double seed or a double-digit seed makes it in the tournament? What's your Cinderella of this tournament? Who are you guys going with for somebody who could at least, make it into the second week and maybe even, Elite Eight or possibly, I guess, a Final Four? But, who do you guys see as the double-digit seed making the most noise?
Who I chose Vermont in the West. They play Arkansas the first game and then would play the winner of UConn, New Mexico State. I have Vermont winning those two. They're on a tear. They've won 8 in a row with and in their conference tournament, America East, they had an average margin victory of 36. Wow. So they're on a tear. They're scary. Vermont beat Syracuse. What was that, 15 years ago or so?
Yeah.
So not recently, but they've been there before. So that's the only double-digit seed I have getting to the Sweet 16. Actually, I do have. Yep, that's the only double-digit seed I have going to the Sweet 16, and I think that's as far as they go.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. So when you start looking down at this, it's the best part of the NCAA tournament is that it ends up. People get excited because they're like, oh, there's always so many upsets and it's always so crazy. but almost always it's a top 1 through 4 seed that's in the Final Four ultimately, right? The others they get very excited and then they fall away. But there was one game in particular, or one team in particular that I was looking at, which was. And I know they've done it before, Loyola Chicago. And the fact that they have had this run before. And in the first round, they've got Ohio State. And I've watched a little bit of Ohio State, good team, right? But I would never say, wow, that Ohio State team is really is just, you know, crazy good. And then Villanova, most likely, in that second round. And, you know, you guys know Villanova pretty well. And the fact that they have been always very, very solid. And I actually know Jay Wright. You know, I've known her for many, many years. And I know he will have them ready. But your question is who has the potential? And I think that is one game where Villanova the ball doesn't go quite the way they want. They don't shoot it quite as well as they have in the past. And Loyola Chicago figures it out and gets past them. So that'd be my one.
I like that pick. I like it a lot. That's a good one.
Yeah, the only other one that potential is just Chattanooga. You know, I think that them getting past, I gotta keep putting my glasses on, but Illinois, and then I don't think Houston. I think Houston is a little bit overrated this year, and they don't have any real wins if you go down their schedule. So I think those are two that have double digits next to their names that potentially could be Sweet 16.
I'm gonna go with a team that has a very good history and good name, but they're playing in a playing game, so hopefully they at least get past that. But I'm gonna go with Indiana, and this is just kind of first glance at it. I actually have not filled out my bracket yet. I'll do that sometime today, but I would go Indiana beating Wyoming, then beating St. Mary's, and I like UCLA a lot, so probably not beating them, but there's a chance that I maybe even moving past that, and then they would run into probably Baylor. Yeah, Baylor would win that. So yeah, I would go with Indiana though, just winning a few games, making it into the second weekend possibly, but at least getting that first one against Wyoming, that second one against St. Mary's. That would be my pick as the double digit seed.
So can I let you in on the fact that St. Mary's beat Gonzaga?
No, St. Mary's is a good team. Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm not saying they're not a good team. They're a good team for sure. But
I do like it. I mean, I like it, but I'm just saying that I would not want to play St. Mary's. Like if I was Indiana, I'd be like, God damn it! Like, come on, seriously. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But you look at the other fives, and it's like, you know, I guess UConn is probably the worst one of them. But like Iowa, like I would rather Iowa than St. Mary's. Houston, I've heard good things about Houston. Actually,
Houston, I haven't really watched
much, but
the advanced metrics love Houston. Like they're like 4 in Ken Palm.
So yeah, so Houston, I mean, like really, I would definitely want them over Houston and Iowa. I mean, these fives, it's a pretty good 5 seeds, you know, that we have here. So
you know, one's gonna go down, right? I mean, it's just inevitable.
Well, yeah, but maybe
go down.
I haven't watched much of UConn, but maybe UConn is that one. But I think I don't know. I feel like St. Mary's, you know, they're on a good run and whatnot, but I don't know. So
I agree with that.
I just would pick Indiana there. I feel like
I think no, you're right. I'm just saying that it's yeah, I just wouldn't overlook that. I actually was surprised that I think you're right, because I didn't think they deserved a 5 seed. I'm just saying that it is definitely a team that is, you want to talk about can be overlooked, that's a team that could definitely be overlooked, where you just go, you're like, WCC conference, like what, who, where are they, like who's in that league? I mean, you know what I mean? And so anyway.
All right, well, we got to get to our guest today, Teahan, in a little bit, but before we do that, I want what do you guys think for Final Fours, at least initial thoughts on Final Four?
Sure. Mine's a little boring, a little chalky, but I got Gonzaga facing Kentucky and then Arizona and Kansas. I think Arizona's really good. When they're all clicking, their A game is probably the best A game maybe in the country with their ceiling. But yeah, I got Gonzaga, Kentucky, Arizona, Kansas. Kansas playing Gonzaga. I've picked KU to win the bracket the last 16 years since I got accepted to KU. I'm not going to stop now.
All right,
So I got KU winning it all.
Yeah. No, I agree. You got to have Kansas winning it all.
Yeah.
I have Kansas coming out of that one. I have Tennessee coming out of the South. I like Tennessee a lot. Gonzaga, and then I'm doing Purdue probably out of the East. I like Purdue's team, and they seem like they're built well to handle Kentucky and Oscar inside. And then I don't know, Baylor. I don't love Baylor, to be honest. I feel like Baylor at some point may slip up. And if they do make it that far, I don't think that they would get past Kentucky or Purdue. But I'm gonna take Purdue. So Purdue, Gonzaga, Tennessee, Kansas is mine.
So for me, I'm going Tennessee out of the South, KU Midwest, Gonzaga West. I have
You got two people
instead of a Final Four, because I have seen UCLA play, and UCLA is pretty damn good, and I have this sneaky suspicion also that they could come out of that East potentially.
I think that they get past. I think that that's who's playing in the Elite Eight. If they're playing well, I think they'll get past. They'll handle their first round. They'll handle. I think it's going to be Indiana.
That's who I have taken down Baylor too.
And then Baylor, and then once you get to the Elite Eight, it's just having a good game, and then making it to the Final Four. So I don't hate that. Yeah. What would be your other? Who are they playing on the?
Kentucky. It'd be Kentucky. Yeah. So it's like
that's a fun
between
game.
those two. Like I would not be surprised if UCLA was represented the East. Just as equal to Kentucky. If I had the hierarchy, I would probably lean Kentucky today, but UCLA could easily be that Final Four, that fourth of that Final Four. But the rest, though, I think are pretty chalk. Other than that Tennessee one, I think that Arizona's going to slip up here in the end.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Joe. Do you have any questions for Mr. Chris Teahan that's about to come on? Anything you could think of that you would want to ask him?
Sure. Like, how important would it be and how great would it be for him to hit a 3 in the NCAA tournament? And how crazy would the bench react?
Oh my God, they would go.
So I'm going down to Dallas Fort Worth for the first 2 rounds. So I'm hoping we get Teahan time in one or both of those games. So I'm hoping for it.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, and we'll be in touch with you later. Good luck in the bracket challenge we're gonna do.
Yeah. Well, if KU wins, I might win. So there we go.
We all win.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. Great talking to y'all, and rock chalk.
Rock chalk. What's up, man? Hold on. Can you hear us?
What's good?
How you doing, man?
I'm great. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. This guy, Dad, if you've obviously seen him, come in and hit his big shots, hair flowing in the wind with the little
yes.
You can't miss him.
Yeah, well, welcome on board. I'd like to start off by just asking about, have you got any of the name likeness stuff for like hair products or anything like that? Has anybody approached you, like the Patrick Mahomes, or something?
Not really yet. That was something I actually kind of thought that would happen. I was like, maybe I'll have the hair and someone will want to do something. But no, I haven't really got anything for the hair products, and I don't really use anything. It's just kind of wake up, shake the hair out.
That's awesome.
I'm much of a process with that.
That's awesome. Well, you guys came into Kansas City, handled business, got the championship. What's the vibe been like? How are things going? I know yesterday was Selection Sunday. They give you the full packet of all the teams and stuff. Are you guys now in just full prep mode, going over scouts and all that for the weekend coming up?
Oh yeah, for sure. And we always have a playing game before, so we don't know exactly who we're playing yet, but we're preparing for both of them. And that kind of has been our our whole thing is, since we got done with the Big 12 regular season, obviously the Big 12 tournament's a cherry on top. You want to show you're the best in the conference. You want to get that momentum rolling into March. But we definitely have been focusing more and more on just being like, hey, let's focus on the task at hand and play our way through. We're playing 3 2-game tournaments is what we're doing right now. And that's what coach has said. And we're definitely hitting our stride now. So I think that, the overall morale in the locker room is great. Everyone's super happy. Everyone's getting along really well. We're having a great time. And I think we're really excited for the next couple of weeks.
It's so funny to hear you say that, because I just mentioned the whole 3, and I'm just curious how long Coach Self has just said the same thing every single season. Because I guarantee you, I could probably go into the locker room and repeat all the things that he said. It's gonna match up, perfectly. But he always makes sure that you're ready. You take it one step at a time. I'm sure he's doing that with you guys, and it's gonna be a fun one, and San Diego State and Creighton's going to be a good matchup in that 8-9. We're excited to see that first weekend for sure.
Yeah, and we talked about it. Our team has just like this year, everybody, all the talent is so spread out because everybody's doing the transfer portal. So people are getting older faster and all that kind of stuff. I think this will be probably one of the more entertaining tournaments that we've seen, just because all these games, all 64 teams, they all really have a shot to do whatever in here. So it's we're definitely more focused, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. After we're done with our games and handle our business, it'll be fun to turn on the TV and see everything that's happening. I'm really excited for it.
For sure.
Hey, so Chris, tell us a little bit about your journey to KU. Like, you grew up in Kansas, right? You're from Kansas. Like, how did you get there to KU, and what, tell us about that journey.
So my brother Connor played here when I was pretty young. That was 2008 to 2011, I think, was his last year. And that was when I'm young. So I was probably 7 years old when he first got here, and I really hadn't experienced. At that point, you're not thinking about college. You're not thinking about this. You're really just kind of basketball.
Yeah.
I play basketball. And so going to his games and going to Allen Fieldhouse for the first time, like, at first it was like, okay, this is how college basketball is. And then you start traveling to other places and you see the atmosphere there. You're like, wait. Like that's pretty special. So that it definitely wasn't planted in my head from a young age. Being from Kansas City, all my friends were Kansas fans. Obviously, my family went to a ton of games, and I never really thought of going anywhere else. I had offers from like small major schools and some NAIA, and then I also had football offers for like FCS to go play at like Northern Illinois or somewhere like that.
What position you play in football?
I played wide receiver.
Okay.
Yeah, I was decent. I wouldn't say I was great. I wasn't a fan of getting hit. I was more of just like show up, be tall. But I enjoyed football, but I never even really opened my recruiting. I had people call, like I had a conversation with Coach Self my beginning of my senior year. And then I had people come in asking what my interests were and all that kind of stuff. And I never really showed them the time of day. As soon as I talked to Coach Self, I knew this is where I wanted to be. And I don't regret that decision at all. I've had a great 5 years, and as it's coming to an end, I think I respect a lot of things that have happened over the course of the last 5 years a lot more than I did when they were happening.
Yeah. Well, I know you're close with Mitch, right? That's your boy.
Yeah, that's my.
He was there way back when I was there a while ago. But yeah. I want a Mitch story. What's your best Mitch story that you got? Because I was only with him for a year. You've been with him for much longer than that. What would you say is your favorite Mitch story, Mitch memory that you're gonna leave Kansas with?
He's an interesting guy. I love Mitch to death. Like, obviously that's one of my best friends. Like, I've lived with him for really 5 years now. Yeah. And he loves to talk to himself, especially at practice. How Coach Self is. Like, as soon as he sees that little blood in the water, like, he's going at it. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was like probably my second year here, and Mitch was taking on a bigger role. And we needed him. And so he like was messing up on 2-game or something. That was still when we ran 2-game. We were playing 2 bigs, or at least trying to. Mm-hmm. And he just like walked off and kept on talking to himself and all this stuff. And Coach Self just like starts yelling at him, just like yelling at him, whatever. And then like calms down. He's like, you know what? I don't even need to yell at Mitch. He's just going to sit there and get himself mad at himself and ruin the practice for everybody. Like, and just kind of does one of those things where he's seeing how Mitch will respond. And I'm sure there were some more choice words in there that I can't say,
sure.
But he definitely, it was always like Mitch is literally a 5-year-old. Like all he does is sit there and talk to himself. And then he would like look at the bench when we were scrimmaging or whatever, like he'd mess up and he'd look at the bench and coach would stop it and say the same thing over and over again. And those are just hilarious to me because that's how Mitch is. Like he's always in his own head. He wants to be great. And so he's obviously extra hard on himself, but he definitely can get in his own way. He's matured past that, but his first couple of years, he was the one stepping on his own foot.
Yeah. Well, as we're going down memory lane and you're talking about Mitch in particular, what about a specific game? Is there a game that stands out to you in terms of whether it was because of your success individually or the team success? Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, what's your favorite memory of your basketball time at KU?
My favorite memory definitely is my freshman year. We went to the Elite Eight and we played Duke, and obviously we won that game and went to the Final Four. But now, like as I grow older, the more like the stuff that I remember the most, that's the most funny to me, are like bad games. Like you guys, coach gives it to you, whatever. Like he's yelling at you guys, and everyone's super depressed and down. And then you win 2 more games, no one really thinks anything. So I think right now, and it's probably just because it's fresh in my mind, is that loss at TCU. Mm-hmm. Like that locker room was, it was sad. It was real. It was bad. And, but everybody came in the next day and just seeing the look in everybody's eyes, like no one felt sorry for themselves. Everybody was like locked in. They knew that they had to change their focus level because obviously what their focus level wasn't cutting it. So I think that's probably one of my favorite memories, like seeing literally a turnaround like that from being a team that had to play well to win to being a team where it's like, okay, yeah, like our main goal is to win. It doesn't matter if we hit shots or this and that. Like we got to make the other team play worse. And I think that just means a lot more to me because it's my last couple of games here and we're hitting our stride at the right time. And yeah, so that's probably one of my favorite memories is that TCU game and the flight home and everything. Like literally no one said a word on the plane, no one said a word on the bus. And they're usually not like that. Like usually it's like, okay, yeah, we got some more time, but it's like, we don't have any time. We got to turn this around like now. So that's definitely something that's high on my list.
It's funny that you mentioned that because it feels like, and this was, through my time there, it felt like every single year there were some down, games or moments or stretches. And I can't remember a year that we didn't have at least either a team group meeting or a team group mass text or something that went out. Was there some kind of turning point after that TCU game that you guys, was there something that was said, the next day in practice? Was there a group text? Was there a team meeting? Like, how did you guys come out of that? And then with such a quick turnaround, having only 48 hours to play them again. And then now you guys are just, like you said, in complete stride. What was there that you guys did to get past that and move on?
It was mostly Ochai. He's done a really good job of being a leader this year. I obviously have a leadership role just being here for so long. And I don't care if I hurt someone's feelings either. Like if you guys don't like me because I say something to them in the locker room, like then they probably weren't going to like me in general. So it was mostly Och. He came in the locker room and he was like, no, like this isn't how it ends. This is not how it ends. And he was emotional. And I think the fact that everybody saw that part, because that man's a robot. Like, he gets his work in, he's locked in, focused in the games. He doesn't really show a ton of emotion. I mean, he does every once in a while, but he is like a steady rock. And to see him get emotional and see him like feel like have that sense of urgency, I think everyone kind of looked at themselves and was like, okay, yeah, like if this is like if we're not going to do it for ourselves, we might as well do it for him. Like he's given it his all. He came back for next year. He's played out of his mind. He cares about us so much. I think everybody, the young guys, looked at themselves in the same way, and then the older, obviously, we held accountable. I said a couple words in the locker room too, just to make it up. It's what it is.
Sorry about the co-host, having whatever music playing in the background or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's my bad. I wanted to pull up a stat real quick, and then of course it plays a commercial. And I pulled up the stat because I wanted to see. I wasn't sure how many minutes Remy played in the Texas Tech game, so that's what I just pulled up. Yeah. And by the way, Big Macs are on sale right now with McDonald's. That was a commercial. But thank you. But Chris, I wanted to ask about. But that was what I was going to ask about, which was Remy. Like, I didn't realize how much he actually played. He played a lot in that last game. And so, what does the team feel when Remy's on the floor and playing well?
He creates something that we haven't had. I wouldn't say we haven't had at Kansas, but there's a very short list of people who can go get a basket with outside of the offense. Like literally there's 10 seconds left on the clock and you give him the ball, like he can go make something happen. Like he's so lightning quick. He has such an unorthodox game. And we love watching him, but he obviously dealt with the injuries and stuff, but we're really trying to get him to do the small things. And I think against Texas Tech is the first time we saw kind of the small things. Like he was playing defense. He was hitting his rotations. He was looking for the next pass. He was playing inside of the offense before looking to go outside of the offense. And we support him 1,000%. We all love Remy. His attitude's been nothing but great. He's told us since the second he's been here, he's like, I don't care about my stats. If I don't play, then it is what it is. Like, I just want to win. If I can help you guys win, that's all I want. And so when you come in with that mindset, especially with the group of guys that have been here for a while, we understand that he gets it and we have nothing but support and want him to do great.
So I know you are a part, I'm guessing, of the red team most days and, you know, helping with the scout and whatnot. I've been there. I know what the red team's like. I've seen the red team. I've been on it. But one thing I know is that those coaches, especially the assistants, Coach Townsend in particular, will always be on the red teams. I remember the relationship between him and this walk-on that we had, Christian Garrett, was always the funniest things for us in practice. And so I have a question to you. Do you have any memories or stories or funny moments that you can remember with any of those coaches? You know, maybe, you know, during your time in practice, outside of practice, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I have a good KT story. So my freshman year, KT's kind of calmed down a little bit since I've been here because our walk-ons are all like veteran guys or guys like we have Jankovic on the team, which obviously they're good friends with his dad. So he's kind of calmed down a little bit. My freshman year, we had 4 or 5 walk-ons, and we'd run block-out break. He would hockey sub us. Like if you missed a rotation on the baseline, he would yell, I think it was Clay Young and me and like James Sasinski, and he would literally yell, Clay, go get him. And so you knew like the next time you're coming up the court, like just get off. Like someone else is just coming right in to start playing defense again. And he would do that like consistently where literally it'd be 3 possessions and there'd be 3 different walk-ons out there. And then he'd just be like, screw it, whatever. Like no one get out there. You guys don't deserve to play. So we playing 4-on-5. Like, and it was just like, you just took it. Like I was like, that's just how it was. So I was sitting there. There'd be days I get out of practice so mad at KT. And then now looking at it, like I was always the butt of the joke, and then not being the butt of the joke, it's so funny. But then Coach Rob too, he you know, he has a hairline trigger.
Yeah.
He'll just straight up say, I think we're playing Villanova and we lost a recruit to them or something. And he was like, I'm not going to get worked up. And just said it, and then immediately started screaming for like 15 minutes straight just about, these kids are so soft these days, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, he said he wasn't going to get worked up. But those are just like some of the little stories. Obviously, Coach Rob, he's ultra intense. And I love him all to death. We all have a great relationship. But he'll have the managers come out and guard us when we're doing like the pre-practice scout.
Oh,
so we'll
wow.
we'll have 5-on-5 full court. Like we've pressed before, we've been pressed. We'll get out of there. It's like having 2 practices in a day. So yeah, those are definitely interesting. But there's been a lot of good memories from being on the red team.
So how do you stay motivated when because I know when Landen was on the red team, yeah. I heard it, and he was always, you know, ready to rock and roll. And when it came time for games, you know, obviously when he started playing a lot more, things were a lot better. But if you're just not getting the payoff of being out there on the floor as much as you would like, how do you still come every day and deal with the grind of multiple practices and all that, knowing that the likelihood might not be super high that you're going to get that payoff in the end?
I'll definitely say at the beginning of my career, it was definitely a struggle. I was the best player on my high school team. I played at a high-level AAU program. Like, I always was playing. And so coming here my first year, like, I obviously knew I wasn't going to play my first year. I wasn't ready. And I was just like, I got to work. And then so obviously through my sophomore and junior year, like it started to get a little bit harder. But as I matured, I started to realize why I'm here. And I realized I'm here to win. I'm here because I love Kansas. If I wanted to play, I would have gone somewhere else. And that was like a make or break. And I think that winning cures all. When you're winning and you feel like you have just a little bit of a part of that, it definitely helps you. It helps ease your mind being like, okay, yeah, everything I've done is worth it. And looking back on it, I wouldn't change anything. I've had a great time. I enjoy doing the scouts. It's usually because I get to be like the best player, the best shooter, or whatever.
You
So
get to just jack.
yeah, like, I just get to go bomb. So like, there's some days like I'll be a rebounder and it's not nearly as fun. But then there's some days where it's like, yeah, I just get to go out there and shoot 25 threes in a 10-minute segment. I'm like, I'm more than cool with that. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, no, definitely you have to turn it into a game. I remember, my redshirt year, I was on red team every day, and I had to just make it some kind of personal competition or just game or have fun. Like you said, if I was playing somebody in a scout, it was fun to kind of try to emulate them and stuff. So going into this tournament though, this being, your last tournament, March Madness, number 1 seed, obviously you want to, finish with a win, but is there any like personal, like what would be the best way for you to end your personal playing career? Is it getting on the one shining moment? Is it, hitting some shots at, like what would be the best way you could end your career other than obviously Kansas winning the national championship?
I would say, I don't think I've scored in March Madness.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. So just honestly, just getting the basket.
Well, you got a lot of people rooted. We had a guest on before, and the one thing that he wanted was for you to come into the game and get a bucket. So you got a lot of people wanting that as well, for sure. Yeah,
and I wouldn't say I feel pressure for it, but yeah, when I get in there, I'm definitely like the first thing I'm looking for. I got to get one up. You throw one up, if it goes in, it goes in. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So, but yeah, that's probably my thing. I would definitely, obviously, my main goal is to win a national championship. I don't want to lose the rest of my career. I said it after the TCU game. I was like, I'm not losing a game the rest of the time I'm at Kansas. And that's kind of been the vibe. That's obviously the main goal. But yeah, being able to make a 3 or just get any kind of points on the board definitely would be the cherry on top.
Well, I can tell you, when you do make a shot, if you want to get that NIL money, you need to shake that and flow it. Because that's probably what they're waiting on. They're probably waiting on some of that.
I tell you what, if Kansas wins the national championship, or when we do, I'm just gonna say when we win it, and you got the one shining moment, and he's in there hitting a 3. And then shaking his hand, stuff in slow motion, running back down the court. You will sign whatever deals you want after that. I promise you.
I won't even need a deal if that happens. If that's on I'm good for life. Like I can hang it up without even a thought. I may never pick up a basketball again.
Oh my God. He would walk back into Lawrence as like the greatest thing ever if that sequence happens. But that's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it, having you. We're excited to watch you guys, get ready for this first weekend, play, in these first 2 games, and then hopefully on past that into, the national championship, which I feel you guys all deserve. You guys got some, seniors on this team that have been through it, and you've handled that TCU loss perfectly. It's just time to keep it rolling and that momentum going into the tournament. So good luck, and hopefully we see you guys in New Orleans.
Yep. Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
All right. Take care now.
All right. You guys have a good one.
All right. Well, before we move on to our next segment, let me tell you guys a little bit about Bet Rivers. And I'm going to do this without the thing. I'm just going to cliff note it. Okay. So if you haven't already, Bet Rivers is offering a $250 match deposit when you first put in your first $250. All right. And what sets them apart is it only takes just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money.
Just one? Okay.
Just one, okay. And what sets them apart is that they have this instant rush approval so that you can withdraw your money easier than ever. Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And well, that's all of it. But what you need to do is go download the app in the iOS App Store or Android, or go to betrivers.com and sign up today. And if you have a gambling problem, please remember to call 1-800-GAMBLER. Get that one down.
Okay. All right.
It was good enough.
That's pretty good. That
was with no studying. So I was just kind of I don't know. I didn't want to go look for it today, but I thought it was
I'd give that about out of a 10. I give it a solid 7.5, probably.
I was expecting like a 5.
No, because you did. I think you did hit all of the important points.
Okay.
So
Right.
that gives you about a 7.5. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Well, it was fun having him on. I agree 100% with you that he needs to do he needs to show off that hair. This is the time, because you know what? It's not just Kansas fans who are watching this and stuff.
Yes.
It's everyone. And if they see Kansas and they see him come off the bench for Kansas hitting threes, and you know the crowd's gonna be going wild with his little stash and his oh man, he will be a legend. So yeah, you gotta.
That's what I'm saying. On the way back, after he hits the three, while he's just jogging around, he's just going like this. I'm telling you, that's what he should be doing. And then NIL, it just I don't know if it's like Dub or something. I can tell. I don't mess with that stuff anymore. So I don't know who has
it. Palomalu and Mahomes.
Yeah.
Or what is that for? Is it
Head and shoulders? Head and shoulders, yes.
Yeah.
Head and shoulders.
And what if they just need to throw him in there?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe we should help promote him. Like, can we like tweet at Head and Shoulders and like put his picture on it? And
I think we would need a cut. We need a cut to go to Glue Guys so that we could get some better setups.
Yeah, exactly.
We won't have just random music playing while we have guests on and some McDonald's commercials, but
it was a McDonald's commercial. And it's crazy because I didn't even know where it came from. I thought it was you guys. I'm like, oh God, I can't believe they have music playing. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second, I think that's mine. So,
all right. Well, enjoy this first weekend. I know we'll be talking a lot. Oh geez, I just shook the whole screen. We'll be talking a lot throughout, and then we'll be back again next week to recap it. Hopefully not be our last episode of the year. Hopefully we got many more left. I would hope we have at least 4. I would say that's
well, yeah. I mean, and we're gonna do those final ones from New Orleans, right?
Yeah. Go have a face-to-face sit down with Coach Self, asking some hard questions before they play their Final Four and championship games. That'd be fun. I would love for the team to do that. I think that they have it's a great team to do it.
Yes.
It's just a tournament. You know, you just have to avoid one of those nights, or if you have one of those nights, have it early on against, you know, one of these teams where you can squeak past even on an off night.
Yeah.
And then, you know, play your best when it comes to that second weekend, and then they can make it happen. But, you know, with this tournament, it's just, you know, it's a few layers.
And that's the thing too. And that is the greatest part of the NCAA tournament, is that
for a fan.
Anything
for a fan.
Yes, right.
Yeah, for a fan, I'll say this. It's for a fan and for anybody who is just happy to be there, because anything can happen. However, if you are Gonzaga, Arizona, Baylor, Kansas, one of those 1 seeds, it kind of sucks, because really you don't want you're one of the best teams. You should beat everybody there if it was any type of, you know, I guess series, if there was some
that's kind of 2 out of 3 or something.
So, you know, that part, it's fun as a fan, and now I enjoy it completely, and as you know, just happy to be there type situation. I'm sure it's a blast. As a top seed, I wouldn't say it's stressful, because it's one of the most fun times regardless. I had an absolute best time of my life playing in those tournaments, but it is frustrating knowing like like we should be beating these. We had such good teams, and it's just like all it takes is like a night where it's just you just don't feel it, and the other team does, or you know they're playing at least, you know, up to par. And that part of it sucks, because you want to show who the best team is, and sometimes the better team, you know, doesn't win in these situations.
Totally.
So it's just that better, who's the best team that day or that night. So anyways, I got dogs barking and stuff, so let's go ahead and end this now, and before it goes out of control too much. But we'll be back next week with a new episode, and hopefully looking forward to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 for Kansas. We'll see how it goes.
It's gonna be a fun week.
All right, see you guys.